Oh, sorry. Sorry, are we on? Sorry, I was preparing for this video. I was doing my best to channel Stephanie White because we are going to take a listen to some things that she said from the last game that we really do need to talk about because it's fascinating to me in a how damaged brains work type of way. Uh, but Stephanie White is going to be asked a question about Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston. And we know the type of game that they had. Aliyah Boston, career high, 34 points, added 12 rebounds. Caitlin Clark, 32 points, 10 assists. Her third 30-point, 10 assist game in her career, which I believe now is 64 games played. The entire WNBA has four such games, right? You have four other players with one each. That's insane. And then when we combine them, peanut butter and chocolate, the Oreo and the cookie, ebony and ivory. I know there's a whole bunch more, but I wasn't prepared. Uh, we get a first time ever in WNBA history to have two players put this together in the same game. So, of course, naturally, a coach is going to be asked about that. And by the way, we all know because I talked about it in the previous video, Stephanie White didn't even mention Caitlin Clark in the locker room when she talked about when she, threw a bunch of gibberish and words together to make it sound like she knows what she's talking about. Called out absolutely, and should have, by the way, called out Aliyah Boston's career high, and then talked about the things the team did and completely ignored Caitlin Clark's third 30-point, 10 assist game. Third, four other players in the league have one each for four total in the history of the WNBA, but that wasn't worthy to Stephanie White to take a second or two and acknowledge what Caitlin Clark did. So let's take a listen to a reporter asking her specifically about the historic game of Aliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark.
Aliyah and Caitlin are the first teammates in W history to have a 30-point double double in the same game. Can you quantify what we're seeing and how special it is to have two players of that caliber in their primes playing for your team?
I mean, I don't know that I can really put it in perspective in terms of quantifying it, and especially because they're so young, right? They're so young, but they're elite, at what they do. And, the more experience that they get, at this level and the different ways that people play us, like they've already grown in their reads. I thought some of their reads tonight, some of their communication with one another tonight was really good. I think I said this when C was drafted here. It's like when you have the bookends, when you have a point guard, and you have a center, that are special. You can build a team around that, and certainly then you add in Kelsey, who had already been here, and she had a quiet 19, right? It can make for some really special things, and we've got growth opportunities. And there's no doubt about it. But I'm proud of this group, and those two certainly put us on their shoulders tonight. And I thought Mai was great. I thought Mai came in and was outstanding as well.
God, oh my God, oh, get on, get special, get on. Generic platitudes delivered as if her teeth are being pulled without anesthesia, and somehow manages to throw in praise for Kelsey Mitchell, who had a terrible, terrible game, who was absolutely horrifically bad in this game. That's just truth. Okay. Sorry, I don't mean to sound like I'm throwing Kelsey Mitchell under the bus. I'm more commenting on Stephanie White's reaction versus the reality of the game. And the reality of the game is that Kelsey Mitchell was not good. Now, look, a couple nights ago, that night she had when she hit her 5,000 career points, she was fantastic. Okay, and this is what I've said time and time again, that unfortunately the way Kelsey Mitchell is playing now in the Stephanie White system versus the way Kelsey Mitchell played post Olympic break for Christy Sides in 2024 in the Caitlin Clark system are two very, very different players. I would be more than happy to keep Kelsey Mitchell on this team with Caitlin Clark if we go back to that Kelsey Mitchell. Because even though there are still all the same negatives and this and that, she was a lot more bought into working off of and generating her points and playing her game off of the Caitlin Clark, Aliyah Boston pick and roll, read and react model that they were focused on at that time. But now with Stephanie White, with Stephanie White's system, with Stephanie White's, I don't know, hypnotic, delusional praise of Kelsey Mitchell knows that she can do whatever that she wants in this offense, and Stephanie White will have her back. And we are seeing a completely different player, a very selfish player, a very low basketball IQ. Be clear, I'm talking about basketball IQ, and someone who just wants to get hers. And it's hurting the team. Other than, again, that when she had her 5,000 points, I think she was like 11 for 15 from the field or something like that. And that's what I said. The way she's playing now, she has to shoot that way, right? She has to be lights out. And when I say lights out, I don't mean 50%. I mean 70, 75% from the field. She's got to make everything for it to count as something positive for the team when you look at all the negatives that she has. Let's take a look at some stuff just from this past game, okay? Just to give you some examples of what's going on. Now, what we have here is okay, we've got the steal, right? Now check out the score. It's 96-91. There is, I think there was like a minute or so to go at this point. Keep the basketball, get fouled. I'm okay with Kelsey Mitchell keeping it and getting fouled here, but if you can get it to Caitlin Clark, circle it for a bit, run some time off the clock, get fouled, end the game. But no, Kelsey Mitchell is going to drive to the basket. By the way, did you notice she switched to left? Pay attention to what's going on right here. She's got her entire team behind her, up 5, end of the game. Kelsey Mitchell decides she's going to drive into 2 defenders. Little 5'8" Kelsey Mitchell is going to drive into 2 defenders. Are you looking at what is on your screen? And terrible. Now, lucky for them, I believe they got the ball there. I right? I think they got the ball there on the deflection, but that is terrible basketball. That's low IQ basketball. That is selfish basketball. You absolutely do not go to the basket in that situation. Maybe if it is literally you by yourself walking it in, you take the points there. Maybe. But you certainly don't go at 2 defenders who are back defending the basket. It is insanely stupid. Now let's see what we've got here. This is the inbounds play. Now, as you can see here, let me back it up a little bit. Let me back it up a little bit. First of all, right here, I just like to point out, Caitlin Clark came off this wide open right away, by the way. If Caitlin Clark was the same option, because Caitlin Clark thought it was the same play, she's telling everyone else it was the same play. It seems like Stephanie White changed it without saying anything to Caitlin Clark, because if it was the same play from the previous, when Caitlin Clark made free throws, and by the way, she was 15 of 15 in this game, she came off immediately, hand raised. She's open. You can throw her the ball right away. She holds it. She gets fouled. She hits some free throws. We ice the game. But no, we're going to go to Kelsey Mitchell going to the basket. Okay. And here's the thing. Here's the thing with this. I'm not now. First of all, Caitlin Clark's open, so I'd give it to her because it's also a higher percentage pass, which you think that Stephanie White would like. But if Kelsey Mitchell comes open there, maybe for whatever reason you're a little unsure on that pass to Caitlin Clark. Kelsey Mitchell comes over, you hit her. Kelsey Mitchell holds it, like she stops, catches it, makes sure she has the ball, and then gets fouled. Cool. I'm cool with that. What is not good in this situation is that Kelsey Mitchell is catching that with her body going full speed to the basket. Kelsey Mitchell loses this ball not because it was one of those things that happened, because, yeah, it does happen. The greatest players in the world, players who grew up with literally attached to a basketball that would sleep with their basketball, can every once in a while, the most basic pass directly to them will go right through their hands because we're human. But this is caused by Kelsey Mitchell wanting to get a bucket. She is in a situation where she is going to the basket because she wanted to get her points. And then just another example of what we've got with Kelsey Mitchell, dribble in the air out of the ball. She comes up here. By the way, if you look at the way this is situated, you have Aliyah Boston and I think MHA are open. Like Kelsey Mitchell could toss that in there. She could toss that ball in there to get a bucket. But no, let's just keep going. Let's keep going. And then this is, I think, the end of the game, right? 108, 101. And what does Kelsey Mitchell do? Well, she gets away with one foul, actually. And then we're going to come off. And then Kelsey Mitchell's going to put the left hand in the back. Now, again, it's 108, 101, folks. Okay. This is completely unnecessary for any of this. She's going to foul her so that now she can shoot 3 free throws and potentially get back in the game, which thankfully didn't happen and they escaped with a win. But that is the play, not one play, the play overall of this game from Kelsey Mitchell. So good that when asked about an historic game from Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston, first duo ever to have 30-point double doubles in the same game, first teammates, if you want to be more specific, to ever have a 30-point double-double in a game together in the history of the WNBA. That is what the question was about. And she alms her way to saying, okay, and Kelsey Mitchell had a quiet 19 because she was so unbelievably awesome. This is the awesomeness that we got from Kelsey Mitchell in this game. Kelsey Mitchell, and I've said it before because I've called her the best shooting guard in the WNBA, but the way she's playing this season needs to change for this team to win a championship. And what's crazy is, and for whatever reason, Kelsey Mitchell doesn't get this. If she changes, if she goes back to the post-Olympic 2024 Kelsey Mitchell off of the Caitlin Clark, Aliyah Boston pick and roll action, she'll probably have more points per game than she is getting right now, and they will be easier to get. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, appreciate you being here. Like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill by now. I will talk to you later.